Welcome to another episode of Mike's Money Picks. Today on the podcast, we're breaking down the Sentry Tournament 2024 edition. It is no longer called the Tournament of Champions. It is just the Sentry Tournament, which is a very strange name, but this is the first event on the PGA Tour calendar for the 2024 season. It is taking place in Hawaii this upcoming weekend, and we are getting an early start on it here today. This is our preview and picks episode, so we are going to break down the course itself and what are the key stats and key features of this course that you need to know, and then who are the golfers that we like from a DFS as well as a betting perspective this week at the Sentry. Now, if you are interested in joining a golf one and done league, we do have two of those currently going on. We did a full big one and done breakdown strategy information show last week. There is a link in the description on the podcast as well as on the YouTube video if you would like to check that out. But we currently have two one and done leagues going on. One of which is for friends and family that is available on Fantasy Golf Championships. If you are a longtime listener of the show or even a new time listener of the show and you think that a smaller contest for one and done would be interesting to you, reach out to me and I can get you set up and make that happen. There's also a public one that we're running on Splash Sports. The link is in the description to that, but one and done is my favorite format for fantasy golf. Our one and done leagues are starting next week at the Sony Open. So this week, if you go ahead and get yourself that entry into the one and dones, you won't have to worry about it next week. And next week, you can just worry about making a pick because, I'm going to be saying the same exact thing next week. I'm going to be advertising the one and dones because they are going to be starting next week at the Sony Open. And we will be here for these episodes all PGA Tour season long. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to the YouTube channel as well as to the audio feed. That way you can be notified when new episodes drop. And if you are interested, we are finishing out the college football season with college football content as well as NFL content throughout the playoffs and then college basketball content all the way through March Madness as well. So if you're subscribed, you can be notified when all of those drop. All right. So like I said, we got a lot to get to here on this show for the Sentry Tournament. So we're going to break down the course and then talk about the golfers we like. So let's go ahead and dive into that course breakdown. All right, so first off, the tournament formerly known as the Sentry Tournament of Champions, now just the Sentry Tournament, is a very exclusive tournament to get into. Previously, it was only played by in between like 30 and 35 golfers. Now the field has been slightly expanded now that it's no longer the Tournament of Champions, and it's up to 59 golfers, and this is a no-cut event, so all 59 golfers are going to see all four rounds here at the course this weekend, which brings a lot of interesting things into play when it comes to betting and DFS lineups because truly nobody is out of it until the very last ball is rolled in the cup on Sunday. So, when you play DFS, you're going to get all 72 holes out of all of your golfers. If you're making bets or doing player props, you are guaranteed to see four rounds for every single golfer in the field. So guys who are normally very volatile with the putter, they're going to get all four rounds and they're going to have chances to have, four spike days with the putter or, four spike days with the irons and so on. So this tournament does lend itself to a lot of birdies in that regard because everybody gets to see the course four times. Now, the course itself this event is being played at the Plantation Course at Kapalua, which is on the island of Maui in Hawaii. And if you're watching on YouTube, we're at their official website and you can see just kind of this course is very breathtaking visually. Like it's carved directly out of the Hawaiian mountains. It is a pleasure to look at. It's a beautiful golf course and it looks really good on a TV screen. However, it does bring some unique quirks to it. It's a very long golf course. It's about 7,600 yards and it is a par 73, meaning there is a bonus par 5 from what you see most weeks on the PGA Tour. And Kapalua actually has the widest fairways on all of the PGA Tour. They're the easiest fairways to hit on all of the PGA Tour. They are also the biggest greens on the PGA Tour. The greens themselves are very slow. They are Bermuda greens, and they are the easiest greens to hit on the PGA Tour. What makes this course even remotely difficult is that there are massive swings in elevation. Like I said, this is on the island of Maui in Hawaii. It's carved right out of the Hawaiian mountains. And so there is a grand total of 500 feet between the highest point of elevation on the course to the lowest point of elevation on the course. What this does is this creates a lot of elevated shots into, greens that are below. It creates some tee shots to, landing areas that are above. There's just a lot of variables in play and it creates a lot of different slope sloped lies. A lot of people will compare this course to Augusta National, not because there's anything similarly geographical about Augusta, Georgia and Maui, but because of the elevation changes and the amount of sloped lies that you have to deal with here on this course. The weather here is normally fairly docile, but keep in mind it is on an island, so the wind can pick up. It's a possibility, and there can be a lot of coastal rain just because it is the island of Hawaii. Now, in terms of the scorecard and in terms of how this course plays, it tends to play very easy. Like we said, easy to hit fairways, easy to hit greens. That tends to lend itself to a lot of birdies if everybody's playing from the fairway and everybody is hitting the greens. Now, like I said, the greens are very big. They are very undulating. So if you end up on the wrong side of the green, you can easily be looking at a 3-putt, but it's not super difficult to hit the green and to 2-putt for par. That's not a very difficult task. So you're going to have to make a lot of birdies if you intend on winning this tournament. Now, Cam Smith actually set the PGA Tour record for scoring relative to par here 2 years ago with his victory. Hawaii had a lot of rain like the week and 2 weeks leading up to the event that year, and so the course was just soaked. It was super soft, and Cam Smith was basically just aiming right at pins, sitting at about 5 feet from the flag and making the birdie putts. And so that was kind of the recipe for very, very easy scoring conditions 2 years ago here at this event. Now, because of the large greens here at this event, approach and putting tend to be the most important factors. If you are able to put the ball close to the flag, you are able to put the ball in once you are close to the flag. That is how you are able to score at this tournament. Off the tee, you can separate yourself off the tee at this event with length because you're going to give yourself shorter approach shots into greens, but the accuracy off the tee does not really matter at all this week because the fairways are so wide. Pretty much everybody is going to be playing from the fairways. Now, when you look at what happened here at this event last year, John Rahm ended up winning this event last year. He came from behind. He was 7 strokes back of Colin Morikawa after the third round. But he got really hot, and he was able to, get really hot with the putter with his irons and just roll in a lot of birdie putts, and it allowed him to catch Colin Morikawa from behind. This is an instance of this event because of the fact that everybody gets to see it 4 times and the fact that, there's birdies to be made out there here at this course. It's very interesting down the stretch of the weekend, and guys can come out of nowhere and win this event. Now, if you look at the course history tool on Data Golf is what I'm looking at now on YouTube, you can see the guys who have played this course the best, in their times here. Because this is an exclusive event to get into, not everybody has played this event a whole lot. So there's not a huge sample size of rounds to go by here. But what you can see is that from course history, Tom Hoge actually rates out as the best course history guy here. He's only played 4 rounds, but he came in 3rd in last year's edition of this tournament. Colin Morikawa has 4 straight top 7 finishes at this tournament. He ranks 2nd. Ricky Fowler is 3rd, but he's only played this event once in the last 5 years. Tom Kim was a debutant last year at this event and finished T5. Jordan Spieth has won this event before and has came in 21st and 13th in the last 2 years. Xander Schauffele has won this event before, but WD'd from the event last year. So what you get from that list is a pretty eclectic group of golfers, right? You've got your shorter hitters who are elite with their irons and wedges like Tom Kim and Tom Hoge. You have longer hitters like Xander Schauffele. Dustin Johnson has won this event multiple times. Bubba Watson has won this event multiple times. So the bottom line here at this event is that there's multiple pathways to winning, but you have to be able to stick your approach shots close and roll in those birdie putts if you want to have any chance at winning. The pathway to doing so is up to you, but the approach shots and the putting has to be there, or else what are we doing here? Now, I do want to mention the key stats of what I feel like are important for success here at Kapalua. So if you are running a custom model on a site like Fantasy National or Rick Run Good, these are the stats that I would prioritize in that model. First of which is opportunities gained. So opportunities gained basically is how many birdie putts inside of 15 or 20 feet are you giving yourself. If you are giving yourself more opportunities, then you are going to give yourself more birdies this week. It's pretty straightforward. Birdie or better gained is another stat that I would prioritize. Again, similar concept, except this is measuring whether you actually were able to get it in the hole. Pretty basic, but strokes gained approach is going to be putting. Strokes gained putting strokes gained approach is going to be important. Strokes gained putting is also going to be important, but I would prioritize putting on Bermuda greens as well as slow greens. Now, in terms of proximities, there are two proximities that stand out because the holes at this course are either really long or, there's a lot of par fours that are kind of on the shorter side. When it comes to the proximities, there's a lot of shots where you're going to have wedges into greens, so 100 yards to 125 yards out, as well as a lot of holes where you're going to be over 200 yards out, especially on those par fives where you're going to be going for it in two. So the proximity buckets that I would prioritize are 100 to 125 and 200 plus. And then the last stat that I would prioritize is par 5 scoring, with there being a bonus par 5 at this course and with there being a excessive need for birdies. Par 5s are going to be an opportunity where you can get one of those without a whole lot of difficulty. So par 5 scoring is another one I would prioritize. Course history here, I would say, is pretty important because of all the sloping lies and all the ins and outs of these green complexes. You do see guys who have played well here continue to play well here, and debutants tend to have a rough time, with the exception of last year, Tom Kim and Tom Hoagie. My two comp courses for this event would be Augusta National and Torrey Pines. Augusta National is another course where there's a lot of long approach shots into greens. There's a lot of undulation. There's a lot of elevation changes. It's just a lot more difficult than this place. There's a lot of winners at Kapalua as well as Augusta National, such as Dustin Johnson, Jordan Spieth, and John Rahm. Cam Smith is very close to have done both. Justin Thomas has played well at both courses also. Torrey Pines is the other one that I would say, because you have the dual winner in John Rahm. Tony Finau has played well at both courses. Max Homa has played well at both courses. It's another very long golf course where it's pretty darn wide open. So while the fairways aren't wide, even if you miss the fairway with your driver, there's not a whole lot of consequence to missing. Similar boat here. If you're long with the driver, there's not a whole lot of consequence to missing the fairway, and it's pretty hard to miss the fairway here at Kapalua. All right, that does it for the course breakdown and all the key stats. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the board and see who we like for our DFS lineups and betting cards this week. Now, before we go ahead and look at the board and find out who we like and don't like, I do want to give one last plug to my one and done contest. You can see it if you're watching on YouTube. We are on Splash Sports, which is the home of our one and done. The link is in the description to both the audio feed as well as the YouTube video if you would like to join our one and done contest. Also, if you play one and dones, I have made a sheet here. And I went through this full sheet in the video last week, if you want to check that out as well, where it's like a one and done tracking sheet. So you can kind of keep track of who you have used for your one and done, as well as the tournaments that are left, the tournaments that are elevated events that are left, as well as kind of the guys who have won that tournament in the past. So if you are somebody who is a planner like me, or if you're somebody who plays a lot of one and dones and wants to keep track of multiple one and dones, then this Google sheet is a way that you can do that. I've put a link in the description to that Google sheet as well. You are going to want to make a copy of that, to use it. It will not let you just edit it, because that is my version of it that you would be trying to edit. So you'll want to make a copy of it, and then you can edit it all yourself. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the board now. So with it being a 59 golfer field, this is a slightly different board than what we have seen in the past here at this event. With there being only 30-ish players at this event in the past, you tend to see one of the best golfers in the world win the event, because there's only the best golfers in the world that are playing in this event. So I do think this week, with there being more golfers playing, and with there being a lack of some of the best golfers in the world, the ones that are on LIV, as well as Rory McIlroy, who will not be playing in this event from everything I have heard, I think that opens the door a little bit for one of the, a mid-range option or a long shot to end up being the winner of this event. So let's go ahead and take a look at the board on DraftKings. So when it comes to lineup building, it's the same salary as usual, but there are a lot of options that are going to be salary savers this week. And with everybody being guaranteed all 4 rounds, I think that you're going to see a lot of people take more chances at the bottom of the board on DraftKings this week, which is going to lead to more people playing the guys at the top of the board on DraftKings this week. So I think that balanced builds are going to be more contrarian this week than they normally would, simply because I think there's a lot of value plays out there that are very likable this week, which will allow people to go up top and play for the likes of Scotty Scheffler and Victor Hovland and Xander Schauffele. So among the guys at the top, who should we be paying up for? Well, Scotty Scheffler is the best golfer in the world. He is the highest priced golfer on DraftKings. He is coming off of a win at Tiger's tournament, the Hero World Challenge. And just quite simply, he's the best tee to green player in the entire world. I will never complain about anybody playing Scotty Scheffler on FanDuel or DraftKings or betting him outright simply because he is the best player in the world. In this event, he has came in T7 and T13, which is not bad. Scotty Scheffler's one weakness in his golf game is his putter. And at a course that has big greens that are also slow greens, I think that weakness might be mitigated just a little bit. Slow greens tend to have less break. And so maybe, just maybe, with that weakness being mitigated, we might see Scotty Scheffler get back into the winner's circle. Viktor Hovland is next up on the list, and Viktor stands out as a fade for me at this event. He has not played this event well at all. He has came in 31st, 30th, and 18th place here at this event, which if you're thinking, that doesn't sound that bad, well, remember, there's only about 35 golfers that play in this event. So 30th and 31st out of 35. It's not good. So to me, that would make Viktor a fade based off of his course history. When you look at the types of courses Viktor plays well at, he plays well at courses with faster greens. For whatever reason, Viktor putts better, chips better, does everything better on lightning fast greens. These are not that. These are going to be slow greens. And so on paper, this does not set up very well for Viktor Hovland. However, everybody knows that this place does not set up well for Viktor Hovland. So might he come in at significantly reduced ownership? I think that's exactly a possibility. And so I do think that he becomes playable if he is at lower ownership, especially when you consider the course history may not be good, but at the same time, he's also in a better spot now than he ever has been for the rest of his career. So I do think Viktor Hovland, it's not a great setup on paper, but I understand it as a DraftKings play. Xander Schauffele is on paper a great play in every sense of the word. So Xander has a win, a T2, and a T5 here at this course. With there being no Jon Rahm and Rory McIlroy this event, he is now, like, on paper, the third best golfer here at this event, which is not something that you would normally say about Xander. So I do think that this is a great spot for Xander Schauffele at a course he has played very well at. So sign me up for some Xander Schauffele this week. Patrick Cantlay is not a guy that I'm going to be playing a whole lot of this week, though. I would rather just pay $100 more on DraftKings to go play Xander Schauffele because Cantlay's history is not as good at this event. He's played it 4 times. He's went 4, T13, 4, and T16. The one thing that I do think Cantlay has going for him is he is better at courses with longer approach shots. He is really good with his long irons, and this course is going to have a few of those. So I kind of get it with Cantlay, but again, I would rather just pay up for Xander Schauffele, or I would even go pay down to Max Homa, who came in T3 at this event last year. He had a win in the fall in Europe. He also is playing the best golf of his career right now at this stage, and he has a win at one of my comp courses at Torrey Pines. So Max Homa actually really sets up well for this event. And like I said, I would rather just pay up for Xander or pay down for Homa as opposed to playing Patrick Cantlay. So one thing that I think will be unique is if you have a lot of people paying down to the 6K range, which we're going to talk about later, then can you go up here and make a build where it starts Xander Homa? I think that's absolutely a possibility this week, and it's something I will probably be trying out. Now, Wyndham Clark is a guy who has never played at this tournament before, but on paper, he is a great fit. He's an elite driver of the golf ball, so he's going to give himself an advantage of being very far and in the fairway almost every time, and he's really good on his long approach shots. So I think that this is a pretty good on paper fit for Wyndham Clark, even though he has never played this event before, which does make me a little bit nervous. Now, Matt Fitzpatrick and Brian Harman are not what I would consider great fits for the course, but I kind of could see the argument for Matt Fitzpatrick because he came in T7 last year. And then Brian Harman, I could kind of see the argument for. He was T16 last year. But again, kind of like I said about Max Homa, he's playing the best golf of his career. And so, why would you really bank everything on course history if he is in a different spot of his career than he has been? I think that would make him intriguing. But again, my favorite plays of the 9K range is still Max Homa at the top end of the 9K range. And then at the bottom of the 9K range, I do really like Tyrrell Hatton. Tyrrell Hatton has never played this event before, but Tyrrell Hatton, when you think about a guy who can get scorching hot and shoot, 62 over a weekend, that's Tyrrell Hatton. He runs really hot and really cold. His putter can get really hot as well. So I think in a course like this where he's going to get to see it 4 times, Tyrrell Hatton's going to give you at least one like nuclear hot round. And for that reason, I'm super interested in him if I was playing Showdown DFS. And I think that over the course of the whole tournament, I think he makes for a really solid play. But the objective best play and the most popular play in the 9K range is going to be Collin Morikawa. So Collin Morikawa was a runner-up here last year where he kind of led the tournament for most of the way. He probably should have won that tournament. Collin Morikawa also played some good golf over the fall swing. He won the Zozo Championship, came in 7th at the Hero World Challenge. But when you think about Collin Morikawa, there are, 2 types of golfers who succeed at a course like Kapalua. So one of the defining features we talk about Kapalua is the wide fairways, right? So that is going to benefit 2 types of players. The first type of player it's going to benefit are the guys who are inaccurate off the tee, because now all of a sudden their inaccurate shots are still going to be finding the fairway. The second type of player that it benefits are guys who, when they're in the fairway, are elite with their iron shots, because now you're in the fairway every time and you're getting a good lie and a good opportunity to hit a good iron shot into this green every single time. Collin Morikawa fits into that second category. And when you look at the history of Collin Morikawa's career, he excels at courses with really wide fairways like this one because it allows him to be in the fairway every time. He also excels at shorter, narrower courses because he is able to club down and find the fairway more than others, which again allows him to have more accurate iron shots into greens. So I think this is actually a really good setup for Collin Morikawa. I think he is objectively the best play in the 9K range, which means he is likely to be the most popular play in the 9K range on DraftKings. And so if you are playing him in your DraftKings lineups, you're going to want to find a way to get a little bit different elsewhere. And I think he is one of the best bets to win the tournament that you could possibly make this weekend. All right, so that does it for the 9K range. So I'm going to go ahead and take a quick breather, and then we're going to talk about some value plays. Now, before we get further down the board, I do want to mention there are a few places where you can get more information from me if you would like it. First off, you can follow me on Twitter, aka X, at Mike's Money Picks. I do tweet out the DFS rundown for every tournament where I kind of highlight some of my favorite categorical plays for each golf tournament, as well as if there's ever any updates for the show, I do tweet it out. If episodes are going to be available on YouTube, the audio feed, whatever, I do get those out there in announcements on Twitter. I'm also in the Fantasy Corner Discord. Link is in the description below. Basically, the Fantasy Corner Discord is a lot of smart people who play a lot of DFS for a lot of different sports. I'm talking college football, college basketball, NFL, NBA, golf is one of them as well. So if you're looking for people to talk golf DFS with, or, to bounce some ideas off of, or, to kind of sweat it out together, the Fantasy Corner Discord is a great place to go. It's a really fun community to be a part of, and I cannot recommend it enough. I also write a full article on my Patreon for every PGA Tour tournament highlighting my DFS core plays, as well as what I think are the most important stats and strategies for the slate. So if you would like to read those, subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Mike's Money Picks. I do the same thing for college football as well as college basketball. So if you're interested in those 2 DFS sports, I really do think you get your money's worth from those articles if you read them for college football, college basketball, and golf. Lastly, if you're looking to try something new this PGA Tour season, and you're looking to sign up for a new DFS player prop or sportsbook site, head on over to signupexpert.com/Mike's Picks. What they do at Signup Expert is they get you the best offers and promo codes for all those sites that are available in your area. It will sync to your location. It'll show you what's available to you. So if you're looking to try something new, go get yourself the best offer and promo code that you have available. Signupexpert.com/Mike's Picks. All right. So let's go ahead now and take a look at kind of the value plays on the board. So the top of the 8K range is really like boom, boom, boom. Like there's 3 really good options at the top of the 8K range on DraftKings. You've got Tom Kim, who was T5 last year. If you remember the Morikawa segment, he fits in that Morikawa category of if he's in the fairway, he's an elite iron and wedge player, and he's also a guy that can get scorching hot with the putter. So Tom Kim is definitely one of my favorite plays of the slate as well. Spieth is a guy who has won here, and Spieth, his form over the summer and fall was really not good, but he came in 6th at the Hero World Challenge, which is a little bit of an encouraging sign. Spieth will really kind of have peaks and valleys to his game, but he usually when he has one good finish, he follows it up with a few more. So I'm hoping that Hero World Challenge finish is a good sign of things to come for Jordan Spieth. Then you have Ludwig Ober, is how I have been told it is pronounced, who is coming off of his first win on the PGA Tour at the RSM Classic in November. And on paper, he's a great fit for this course. He's an elite driver of the golf ball who is capable of getting hot with his irons and wedges, which is what he did at the RSM Classic, who is an above average putter in the scope of the whole PGA Tour season. He checks off a lot of boxes. I think this guy has a lot of upside as the PGA Tour season goes on. I think he's just really talented, and I'm willing to bet on talent long term, which means that in the short term, he's going to be a guy that I'm going to be making room for my DFS lineups, and I think he's a pretty solid bet to win this tournament. Now, Tony Finau is a guy who has gotten better at this course each time he has played it. Just progressively better finishes, which last year was 7th place. And he was a guy who also, like Jordan Spieth, had a pretty crappy summer. And the T4 that he had at the Hero World Challenge is a huge encouraging sign that he's starting to get his game back. When Tony Finau is at his best, he's an elite driver of the golf ball who is elite with his wedges, which are two things that will really serve you well here at this course. So I do think that this is on paper a really good spot for Tony Finau. And I'm hoping that because he burned a lot of people over the spring and summer, that ownership will be pretty low in DFS. Sung J.M. is also an interesting guy because of his history at this event. He's came in T5, T8, and T13 in 3 trips here. I don't think there's necessarily one thing Sung J does like outstandingly well with his game. He's just kind of well-rounded. And so, with having a well-rounded game, no real weaknesses, this is the type of course where if he's able to just go fairway green, fairway green, fairway green, he's good enough to roll in enough putts that he can give himself an ability to contend at this tournament. Now, Kurt Kitayama is a guy that I like here at this event also. Basically, when you look at Kurt Kitayama's history, we know about the win at Bay Hill last year. When you look at the other events that he's played well at, though, he kind of does his best at courses where the greens are slow and courses with long approach shots. And, that check for Kapalua. Like, there's going to be a lot of holes with long approach shots, and the greens are about as slow as they can get. He's also performed well at coastal courses on the islands. And so that kind of, benefits him here as well, being able to come over to Hawaii and play in this event. He has never played this event before, though. So you worry about that a little bit, but I do think he's a pretty solid play at 7,400. And, he's a guy who won an elevated event on the PGA Tour last year in one of the toughest fields on the PGA Tour last year. So if you can do that, then you got the capable ceiling to go out there and win an event like this one when it's only 59 players big. Now, Eric Cole, to me, gets a boost at this event because his weakness is accuracy with the driver. And for the most part, throughout the fall season, Eric Cole had 4 top 5 finishes in the 5 events he played over the fall. He was elite over the fall. But his one weakness is his driving accuracy, right? Well, this is a place where it's not going to punish you for missing with your driver because you're still probably going to be in the fairway. The fairways are that wide. So his one weakness is going to be mitigated, which to me means that the rest of his game that he's so good at with his irons and wedges and his putter as well, especially on Bermuda grass, that he should be able to overcome his weakness this week. And I think this is a really good spot for Eric Cole. Denny McCarthy is a guy that I always consider whenever he plays pretty much because he is verifiably one of the best putters of the golf ball in the world. And anytime you get that, if he's hitting a lot of greens, then you're getting one of the best putters in the world. Like, he's going to roll in some birdie putts, and you're going to need birdie putts to win this event. So Denny McCarthy is a guy that I'm generally always interested in, but definitely interested in at easy courses and at Birdie Fest, simply because he has a higher chance to roll in birdie putts than pretty much anybody else in the field. Harris English is a guy that nobody ever plays in DraftKings, but he is a former winner of this event from 2021. So I think he has to be considered as well. Cam Davis is a guy that throughout the history of his career excels at easy golf courses, and this is an easy golf course. He owns a top 10 finish here. Historically, he is also a great par 5 scorer, and so with this course having an extra par 5, you got to give him a little bit of a boost for that. So Cam Davis, definitely a guy that I'm going to have interested in at 7,100. Now, like I said, the 6K range this week, is more appealing this week than generally any other event because of the no cut format. You're guaranteed to get 4 rounds out of these guys. You don't have to worry about them missing a cut or kind of going home early in the tournament. So I think it's going to be like, generally speaking, it's going to be a possibility where you can go down to this range and play multiple guys from this range. And it wouldn't shock me at the end of the week to see two guys from this range contending at the top of the tournament. So who are the best guys in this range? Well, at $6,700, you got two guys who catch my interest. Taylor Moore is a guy who can get supremely hot with the putter. And if you get hot with the putter this week, you're going to give yourself a chance to win the tournament. Tom Hoge came in third place here last year at this event. He's a really good wedge player, and this tournament gives you a lot of wedge shots. So Tom Hoge, $6,700, should also have your interest. But Matt Wallace is probably a guy that I think is a really sneaky play here at this tournament. He has been great in Europe over the course of the fall. Kind of going back to August, he had a runner-up at the Czech Masters, top 6 at the Alfred Dunhill Championship, and then T2 at the DP World Tour Championship in November. That's a pretty good run of golf for Matt Wallace, and he does have a win at the Corrales Punta Cana Championship, which is in the Dominican Republic, which also has wide fairways. It's also tropical conditions, and it's also very slow greens. So Matt Wallace checks a lot of boxes, and I'm hoping that with there being a lot of interest in some of the other guys in this 6K range, he's a guy that goes unnoticed. Lee Hodges is another guy that I will have interest in. He always seems to play his best at long golf courses, and this is one of them. Vincent Norman is a guy that I think is going to be popular, though. He kind of came up onto the tour around the same time as Ludwig Aubert, and Vincent Norman is an elite driver of the golf ball. Even when he's not playing well, he usually still drives the golf ball pretty well. So at this event where, being an elite driver is going to get you in the fairway pretty much every time, that does give him a little bit of an advantage, and I do think he does have a chance to play really well here at this event. Andrew Putnam is a guy who is generally pretty good at easy courses. He's a good putter of the golf ball. We've mentioned here on the podcast before, he has a very similar skill set and statistical profile to Tom Kim. And Tom Kim did play well here last year. So I do think that this is a decent spot for Andrew Putnam. Akshay Bhatia is a guy that I got to mention every time he plays, and I play him in my lineups every time he plays, simply because I think he's very talented. He's a very good tee to green player. He's very good at long approach shots as well. His putter just kind of sucks. But if you look at the events that he's played the best at over the course of the years, he's played well in the Bahamas. He's played well in the Dominican Republic. He's played well in Mexico. Like, he plays well at these tropical locations. And now we're in Hawaii with slow greens, which kind of mitigate his weakness of a bad putter. So Akshay Bhatia is a guy who's definitely going to be going in my lineups. But the guy that I think will be the most popular play in the 6K range is Luke List. So Luke List will be the chalky value play this week. He came in 11th here at this tournament last year in his first trip to it. He had a win in the fall swing at the Sanderson Farms Championship. Like Akshay Bhatia, Luke List, the putter is his weakness. And over the course of the fall swing, the elite driver that Luke List always has been was still there. The approach play got better. The putter got a lot better, to the point where he was gaining strokes putting in the fall, as opposed to losing it. And so, he kind of fixed his one weakness. And if that continues, Luke List is going to have a very successful season on the PGA Tour. He also has a win at one of my comp courses at Torrey Pines, which is another course where, again, just bomb it out there, put yourself on the green, make the birdie putt on the slow greens, and you're going to be in good shape. So I do think that this is a really good spot for Luke List, but I think that a lot of people think this is a good spot for Luke List. So he is going to be very popular this week. All right, that does it for the DraftKings board, and that does it for our episode. So hopefully you guys like what you saw here in this video today, and hopefully that'll encourage you to stick with me for the rest of the PGA Tour season. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you like what you saw. Subscribe to the audio feed as well. That way you can be notified when new episode drops, and not only for our golf content, but you can get the rest of our college football, NFL, and college basketball content as well. And also, if you like what you saw on YouTube, please hit the like button. And if you like what you heard on audio, please rate and review the podcast. I promise they really do help out a lot. I used to think that content creators were just kind of asking for it for no reason, but I can promise that it really does help you out a lot, or help me out a lot. And I really do appreciate it when you hit that like button and when you rate and review. Reminder, if you do want more from me, you can follow me on Twitter at Mike's Money Picks. Link to the Fantasy Corner Discord is in the description, and the articles are on the Patreon, patreon.com/Mike's Money Picks. And join the One and Done. The One and Done in Splash Sports is linked in the description. Use the Google Sheet to track it if you would like it. If you would like in the kind of more smaller friends and family One and Done, reach out to me and I can set that up as well. All right, that does it for this episode, y'all. So very much looking forward to the start of this calendar year for the PGA Tour season. I'm very much looking forward to this tournament. Hopefully gave you guys a lot of good information and good advice here in this episode that's going to help you pick the right golfers for your DraftKings lineups, as well as make the right bets for the winners, top 10, whatever for this tournament. We will be back next week for the Sony Open, and next week we're going to be doing DFS betting and talking one and done as well. So hopefully this episode was good for you guys. Thank you guys for watching and listening to this point. Best of luck to you this week, and I will see you guys next time.